Today we're visiting Oxwich Castle.
Although it looks a bit like a castle and it stands on the site of a former castle, the ruined tower to the northeast being its only remnant, this is a Tudor facsimile of a castle.
It is, in fact, a grand fortified manor house built in the 16th century in the courtyard style.
An example of an Elizabethan prodigy house.
These are described as either noble palaces of an awesome scale or proud, ambitious heaps, dependent upon your taste.
You see, Elizabeth I travelled southern England in annual summer progresses, staying at the houses of wealthy courtiers.
This, however, is a moot point with regards to Oxwich Castle because she refused to travel west of Bristol, and this is a long way west of Bristol.
The original castle, long since disappeared, dates from around the 13th century.
There is very little known about that castle, but we do know that in the 16th century, Sir Rice Mansel, the owner of Oxwich Castle, built parts of the current buildings over the Norman remains.
He was succeeded by his son, Sir Edward Mansel, who went on to create the much grander structure, the Prodigy House, called, imaginatively, the Great House.
You see, a proud, ambitious heap.
Sadly, the Mansel family fortunes suffered, and by 1632, the castle was leased out.
By the 18th century, parts of the building had collapsed. The south range was later rebuilt and used as a farmhouse into the 20th century.
In 1949, threatened with demolition, the castle was given to the state and is now in the care of Cadw.
There was just the tiniest difference in taste and possibly wealth between Sir Rice Mansel and his son. This rather humble-looking lodge was built by Sir Rice Mansel, and this extravagant structure was built by his son, right next to each other. But you can imagine his father popping up to this thing and saying, "Can I have some sugar?" and his son looking out the top window of the 6th story of his turret and going, "Nah, you'd have thought that this was a farmhouse built later on, but no, this was the earlier structure built on top of the Norman castle." Here on the first floor you've got Sir Rice's bedrooms and also guest bedrooms, but above us that would have been the attic space, and that was where the servants lived and slept. I suppose they really lived to work, but that's where they rested. Unfortunately, the attic space has now been removed, so you're left with just the luxurious part. This is a Tudor bedroom. They've got a couple of double-poster beds, one here and one the other side of that wall there. They've got a fireplace in here and a fireplace in there. I should imagine that once they both go in, it'll be quite nice and toasty warm. This was the East Range. It had 4 different floors, and you can tell that because there are lots of different fireplaces and windows on each different floor. And at the top there, you can see there was a long gallery. Over there is the tower, and that has 6 stories, so it is a massively vast structure for one family and their staff. It was built to impress, and I have to admit, begrudgingly, it is impressive.
Lots of windows, lots of fireplaces. This equates money. Basically, windows means glass, and glass is expensive at this time. Now, they really did spend a bob or two doing this place up, and the prime example of that is this fireplace here. Now, if you follow my finger, you can see that that is an arch. Now, those are lots of smaller pieces of stone that you put together to create an arch, very similar to this one here. However, what they've done is to make it look swankier. They have got a large lintel to cover the top of the fireplace. This is a fire surround that is really quite nice. It's made of large lumps of stone and will cost an awful lot more to produce. And they've just cut a hole in where the fireplace was, stuck it in there, and of course all this would have been plastered. It would have been rendered in such a way that you would never know that the original cheap archway was there. Somebody likes the grander things in life.
So underneath the eastern end and the massive tower sits the cellars, and these are quite impressive. They don't go as deep as quite a few other cellars do go, but they are big and well made by the looks of things. They're a bit drippy now and covered in stalagmites. Stalactites, sorry, they're the ones that come down. But they look robust because they've still got the ceilings intact. I'm guessing this must be the kitchen area because you've got a couple of fireplaces here that look like they were for cooking. Outside the castle is a dovecot, and the dovecot was used, surprisingly enough, to store doves, house, keep doves. And doves were kept as a food source, so you could eat the meat and the eggs. It's a bit like keeping your own chickens.
I like Oxwich Castle. It's one of those things that makes you go, this was a really bad idea to build this.
Really?
Yeah. To some degree, it was an enormous amount of money to spend on something that was completely unnecessary.
Well, I'm sure they enjoyed it. I mean, their family and friends and colleagues and...
Yeah, but one wonders, if they hadn't built this, would the family's fortunes have remained in better health, shall we say?
Well, I can't imagine that it helped them building a 6-storey tower and a 4-storey east wing.
Yeah, and if you've got the money, you might as well, but I do think they probably would have been better off in the long run had they not built it. I mean, it's a lovely spot.
It's
really
mad.
is.
I mean, you've gone from that tiny little barn thing there to that massive sprawling thing there. It's just like, that's a leap. Which
is a castle in name only, really, because really it's just sort of a luxury thing.
Yeah.
It's a luxury folly come...
It was a house. It was a big manor house.
Yeah.
It was not defensible in the slightest. If anybody would try to attack it, that was it. They'd been scuppered.
Lots of stairs, though. I would have imagined there would be an awful lot of stairs.
That they were fine with stairs.
You reckon?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing to come and see. If you're in the area, come and have a look because it's well worth it, in my humble opinion.
And his opinion is ever so humble.
It is. So I think that is it from us here today at Oxley Castle. Do you not?
Oxley?
Oxwich.
So that's it from us today at Oxwich Castle. If you want to keep seeing our adventures over here, please click that subscribe button. And we shall see you next time.
We shall.
See you next time.
TGFN.